So as I did with the NDC General Secretary, I want to speak to Kwabena Agyepong about the electoral map of Ghana. And if you just tuned in, I'll just show you this quickly. I'm using 3 most recent elections just to make the point that in 2012, when NDC did very well, Upper East, Upper West, Savannah, North, all the way to Volta are very green. And NPP are just 6, 7 sprinkles in the north, right? 1, 2, 3 down here in the Eastern Corridor, 3 here and 1 here. NPP's strength is Ashanti, Bono, Eastern. That's basically the strength in 2012. Then you come to 2016, which Kwabena Agyepong calls the tsunami. And that tsunami was so serious that even in Upper West, there were some blues. The blues have now increased from 6 to about 8, 10-ish, right? And then the whole of the Bono side is gone, even some western inroads in the corners, right? So the country was really, really strong MPP. 2020 seems to have sort of come down the middle lane. And this is where we are with, the blues have sort of coalesced towards the northeastern side. NDC has reclaimed Upper East and Upper West. The Agash in the middle is still strong. A few roads in Bono for them as well. And then western to a few things. So Kwabena, this is, what's, my observation is that you've sort of strengthened up here.
Yeah.
And it's been deliberate.
Yes. And apart from that, now that we have a candidate from that area, that's his...
Oh, so this was not because of him. Some people attribute this to him, that he was running it from, I think, 2008.
From 2008.
So they said some of this is him.
Of course, you have to give him the credit for that. But I think now that he's on top of the ticket, he's more attractive to the north. There's no doubt at all about that. And again, I mean, he had a very interesting way of putting it. Look, the 2 major candidates are from the north. One can be there for only 4 years. He can be there possibly for 8 years. And the country is big. And when the north captures it, maybe the next time that the cycle returns, maybe some decent, interval. So I think most of them believe that if indeed you are going to look at the north, then they'd rather have put their chances on someone who can be there for 8 years than 4 years. So that is going to be strengthening us. And then if you look at all the areas that are green, even the strong areas that the NDC have in the blue areas, those are the areas of a lot of the Zongos where we do very badly. You understand?
So you think beyond the north, he has something to say about some of the greens?
Oh, yes.
Where settler communities have been, you think so?
Because they identify with him. He's one of them. He's also a minority. You understand? They identify with him. And apart from that, he has helped a lot. I think he's used his office as vice president in a very humane way. Mahmoud has been someone who's helped people, Christians and Muslims. Even my church, he touched my church when he visited the church. The kinds of sacrifices, the way he's shared what God has blessed him with in the Muslim community, in the Zongo communities, sponsoring people to medical education in Cuba and supporting some of the imams to have their pilgrimage to Mecca. He has done a lot of work. And as we go around, the chiefs and the clergy, they tell us, they give us testimony of the kind of support he has given people. And I think that will play very big.
Okay. But now let's talk about the Greater Accra.
Greater Accra.
Because, when I check the map, there's a map behind you, which you may not be able to see. It's now the largest region in terms of population.
That's correct.
I think it overtook Ashanti in 2020. So about 3.7 million. 13 of the 20 biggest
are here.
Now, the challenge is that this anti-incumbency thing, it tends to be strong in the capital city.
It's more pronounced.
Good. So even though the gap between the 2 parties was just 73,000 in 2020, there's a sense that NDC starts with an advantage in this region. And that if there are people turn out to vote, and the incumbent supporters are apathetic, then the gap could be much bigger. What are your thoughts on Greater Accra?
That is a possible scenario, but I can tell you, with the work that Bawumia has done so far, and the delivery of projects to the coastals, I mean, Jamestown has had a new harbor, Nungwa, the landing sites in Mumford, across. This government has delivered a lot of work, Elmina and all that, and people feel it, you understand? And so I don't think the margin, if people take it for granted, we will do much better in Greater Accra than people think. And that he's also a minority. He's a Mampusi. He's not an Ashanti or an Akan.
So some of the anti-NPP sentiments may not necessarily be there. You
That's
think
right.
So?
And he would do much better in the Volta region as well.
You think so?
And there's a huge Volta contingent in Greater Accra, mind you.
Yes, yes,
mind
yes,
you.
yes.
And they love Bawumia. You understand? So Greater Accra, yes, is always tough. It's hugely metropolitan. That's where the economy buys the most. People have to pay rent.
So you do admit that the anti-government sentiment in the region,
of course,
is strong.
That,
how do you see Central?
But we have a strong base here.
Okay.
The Greater Accra, there's a strong base of the NPP. And our base, once our base turns out, and I'm encouraging them.
You will not be walloped.
No, at all.
You will not be walloped in the region.
No, to be, if even they defeat us, to be marginal.
You don't, yeah.
So I think Greater Accra is a place where nobody can dominate.
You notice your base is coalesced towards the western side.
That's right.
And then they sort
of course, but
yes.
But fortunately, the Adans and the Segeys don't have the population.
Yes. So you're right. The numbers are more in the middle.
That's right.
Yes.
In 2012, if you looked at the previous slideshow that you had, we used only 2 regions to virtually fight off the rest of the country.
Yes, you did.
So it's the population. So
okay.
Where we are strong, we are very strong. And in Greater Accra, we are very strong. And our people will turn out and vote. And if you add that to what Dr. Bawumia himself will be able to commandeer in the Ashamans of the world, the Nimas of the world, the Accra New Town, and the Sukura, where he can also get in there. He's got support in there.
Central region baffled me a bit because the Akufo-Addo won the region, but the NDC got the parliamentary majority.
Because there was a lot of, and there's still, unfortunately, we're trying to talk to our people. There are a lot of internal problems in Central region. It's not been easy. But I think Dr. Bawumia has been able to lead them into some coalition of a sort. People are working together. They were probably, remember,
that's the fact that his main opponent in the primaries is from there.
That's right.
That created some of those problems too.
And the overhang. People, forgetting about the fact that now he's the elected candidate, let's all work together for him. And sometimes, again, it's internal politics. So when people win, they over-celebrate. And it bruises the egos of some of the supporters, or the party people who may not have supported him. And it can, can lull them into a certain sense of apathy. But we've worked hard in this campaign. I do believe that in Central region, it's also another toss-up. But it's a region that, fortunately, our candidates this time around are very active, very young, very attractive, and they are local people. And I think that local affection will give us a good difference in the Central region.
Will you get the advantage in the Western region? And I ask this because
Western is
it's been you did your manifesto
in
launch there, but you know how the map works, right?
Western is always very tough.
Yes,
it's always very tough from time immemorial. But we will do well in the presidential and maybe win a few seats back with the parliament.
Because you did suffer parliamentary there.
Yes, we did because of the propaganda our friends used with the Galamsey issue. But now I think that going around, the miners don't see us as a threat to them because Dr. Bawumia's proposal is exciting. He says you get a geological survey to get people to be more serious and focused on where they mine, and it should not be just trial and error and destroying the environment. And it's not that he's against them, but he wants to make them millionaires, but in a right, sustainable way, so we don't destroy our forest reserves and our rivers. So I think that Western region, we've got some very decent, good candidates. Sometimes it's a selection of the candidates.
And that tends to affect the presidential.
That's
because
right.
If the candidate is not like...
There's a huge migrant community in Enche, Swaman. And we've tactically selected good candidates.
So you think that some of the residual advantages NDC gets...
it will happen now because some of our candidates are also migrants. And you see, that's how we've been able to make Akontomra a strong place. Tete is a Krobo, but there's a big Krobo community there. You understand? So these things, sometimes you have to work it in a very subtle way, in a very decent way.
You are an election engineer, so let me come and wrap up with you and ask you. Because you're an engineer who's been doing elections for a long time, General Secretary before this. Some people are saying this election will go into a second round and that type of thing. I know you have various scenarios, but would you be surprised if anybody won it in the first round?
Not surprised. In fact, I hope it doesn't. First, because the cost to the treasury is
You don't want second round?
I don't. I don't.
You don't want second round?
And I think every Ghanaian by now knows that it is between Dr. Bawumia and John Dramani Mahama. And I do think that when they weigh them, they would give the balance of doubt to Dr. Bawumia. One, because you see, this election, the way it is, and the way the population is, if you look at the dynamics and the demographics, Mahmoud, the Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has shown a certain deep knowledge of what it takes to move this country to a new era. A certain understanding of the global world, the technological movement that is happening. And he has already, as Vice President, championed a lot of major interventions that has changed the lives of Ghanaians. I mean, we may take it for granted, like mobile money interoperability. Today, you can sit here and do a lot of things on your phone that in many countries you cannot do. And that has impacted the lives of Ghanaians. He's restored Arabic teacher allowances, nursing allowances, teachers allowances. So people identify with him. So I'm very confident that the measures, and again, you see, he's someone who reaches into the future. When he talks about removing the credit, the cash economy and replacing it with the credit economy. Some people don't understand it, but all over the world, Bernard, you see your friend in UK says, I've bought a house.
Credit. They have good credit.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the kind of system we need to build. He has a dream. It may not be achievable even in his first term, but the dream is that all over the world, when you have a job, you should be given an opportunity to enjoy the facilities and use your working life of about 30 years to pay it down. You know, that reduces corruption. People are not under pressure to go and do something untoward at the workplace to buy a plot or a house. If he has a car, he can pay, you know, over a 6-year period. That the fact that he brings this kind of idea shows that he's somebody who is intellectually deep. Wow. You know, he's intellectually deep, and I think when you place them, you realize that this someone.
I wanted a headline from you, but you said something that it would be a good headline. You said you wouldn't be surprised if there's a second round, but you hope not.
No. Yes.
So you are not putting all your eggs in one basket.
No. See, something has happened which is we should look at. For the first time in elections in this country, the smaller parties have not featured.
Not that much.
No.
But they've actually been declining in their numbers.
Yeah.
Some even say this year they're more prominent because they're doing TV adverts. because now they've done. I've seen Kofi Apalo, I've seen Ayariga, I've seen Alan, and I've seen Cheddar do TV adverts.
Yes, but I'm just saying that if you look at their work on the ground, boots on the ground,
yes.
you can see everybody knows that you don't need to waste your vote. It has to be one of the two, and I believe the majority will trust their future, invest their future in Dr. Bawumia.
I hope to talk to you soon. Hopefully,
when
after
we are
round.
smiling.
Whatever happens, Ghana wins.
Oh, of course.
So for us,
definitely. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
I want to encourage everybody. It's not life and death.
Yes.
The NDC has been in power before. We have been in power before. We are in power, although I have not been in power for 8 years.
Thank you, Kwabena. Good to see you. Good luck.
It's
Good
a
luck
pleasure.
to you.
It's a pleasure.
We'll be right back and speak to the head of the UN agencies in Ghana, Charles Abani, for his view as an observer. Stay with us.